Fire and brimstone. It's something that I admire out of a human being. It's something Brantley Shields had early in his coaching career. The now principal at Rustburg High School talks about his first head coaching job at Appomattox. We talk about his days at Avert, some of the tough people he played with, and what's more nerve-wracking, coaching a game or watching your daughters. I never do this, but I'm talking to one person right now. Ms. Shields, if you hear anything you disagree with, remember, it wasn't coming from me. It was coming from your husband. Here's Brantley Shields talking all of that on the Sports Buffet podcast. Just a good old conversation is what Jeff Woody calls it, talking to Brantley Shields. He's the principal at Rustburg. He's also been a basketball coach at Rustburg, Appomattox. But let's talk about the early days. When did young Brantley know he wanted to be a coach?
Oh, wow. I was still in high school and just going to camps and playing basketball. I knew I wanted to coach. I wasn't sure what I wanted to coach, but just knew I wanted to do something involved with sports at a very early age.
Did you know you wanted to coach because you didn't know what else you wanted to do? Does that make sense?
It does. I love sports.
Okay.
Growing up. So.
Talk about did the moments change to where you looked at stuff more heady when you were still playing? Because you said you wanted to coach, or were you always kind of that heady player?
I kind of always had to be that heady player because I wasn't the most athletic. It was something I had to work at, especially once I got into college. I had to kind of think through things and try to outsmart some guys at times. So,
what sticks out about the high school days playing?
Coach Oakes, and just playing for Coach Oakes. He was a great guy, and just everybody loved to play for him. Everybody wanted to play hard for him. So old Wild Bill.
What type of motivator was Coach Oakes?
He was a great motivator. He knew every single player and what their interests were, and just built good relationships with us. And you just want to go out there and play hard for him.
Give me a game that sticks out.
There's a lot of them. I would say the game that sticks out for me probably the most was my first varsity game where I scored in double digits against Gretna at home. I believe it was in '96.
And we haven't talked about where you went, Tunstall High School.
Uh-huh.
So tell me about your mindset during the day. Do kids even think, or, hey, we just got a game that night, I'm going to go out and play?
This day and age?
Well, back then,
oh man, everything was built around the game back then.
Right. But I mean, did young Brantley know, hey, we're playing Gretna? I'm obviously I know you know who you're playing that day, but are you thinking about the game throughout the day? Are you like nauseous? Are you worried? Or, hey, I'm just a high school kid, can go through my day. When 7:30 comes, I'm on the court.
No, I was always one of those kids. I mean, we played all the time, so it was always kind of just another game. But you did always get excited, when you played Gretna or Martinsville or Magna Vista or one of those schools that you knew was going to be a good team and it was going to be good competition. You did get more excited for those games.
So we talked about Coach Oakes. Is he hellfire and brimstone in the locker room with his speeches, or is it kind of, just go out there and kick butt? How are the pregame speeches in terms of motivating?
He didn't give a lot of pregame motivational speeches. It was a lot more just go out there, do your job, and have fun, and let's compete and do the best you can.
So I'm going to kind of hop around here a lot. You talked about him being relational because he knew every kid, he knew what they liked, blah, blah, blah. Did that help you be relational down the road?
Not at first, but as I've gotten older and gotten in this game of education a little bit more, it has really kind of sunk in all the great things that he did.
Not at first. Describe Brantley Shields, the coach. Not at first.
In my early days, I was known to get a technical or two.
I wasn't going to bring that up. I was going to let you take that.
So yeah, I was. I still thought of the game as a player early in my coaching career, and still had those competitive juices flowing. It was around year 4 or 5 that it finally clicked. That I had to look at it in a different way.
Did you have a kid by then?
I did. It's funny how having kids.
I was going to ask, did that change the mindset a little bit to where, my words, not yours, I can't be the wild guy out there that's getting technicals or getting all this riled up. I want to be around for my kid. You're not thinking about your blood pressure at that point, but I can't go sky high off on an official or on a kid or whatever. I got to calm down just for my own sanity.
Yeah, and I mean, having kids changes you.
Yeah.
It changes your perspective. But yeah, it was probably my third year in Appomattox, which is really kind of when we started turning the corner in Appomattox. That I really sort of, I just call it maturing in coaching and education and as a whole, and started, doing more coaching and not really worried about the officials.
You just celebrated a wedding anniversary, if I'm not mistaken.
I did, 20 years.
Did your wife help you become a better coach in terms of that settling down or being relational?
She's always been there for me, always been very supportive. But
I feel like we're going a long way around to saying no here.
Yeah.
But I mean, what was was it having a kid that was the trigger moment?
No, I just had really great mentors,
Okay.
honestly. I had really great mentors who gave me really good, honest feedback. Some guys locally here, some guys not local, but that just, really kind of took me under the wing and mentored me. And
what is a mentor to you?
Somebody that kind of walks along beside of you and just, that you can have honest conversations with, conversations that, that you can trust them and that what they say is going to matter and that they have your best interest at heart.
Give me a name.
From locally?
I don't care.
Bob Hudson, my ED at Appomattox, was fantastic.
Okay, well, Bob's a bad example in a way that he can be at most of the games. He can be at most of the games,
yes.
And he can give you the calming speech. I mean, he's not sitting right next to you on the bench. But how does Bob Hudson calm you at that point?
He didn't necessarily calm me. He would just give me feedback. That you could have handled this a little bit, better or done this different. You could have, here's how I would have done it. Or here's, so just giving me honest feedback. I mean, I could go through a whole list. Mike Wills, my former principal there, was fantastic. And give me feedback. I mean, I had officials that gave me feedback. The old C.R. Thompson,
right?
Was an official. He would give me feedback. Mark Coleman, there's a ton of guys.
Give me a person that's not local that's a mentor.
Mike Muse.
Okay.
A guy who I got to know working down in North Carolina at camps. Was a great mentor and would give me a ton of feedback.
So he doesn't live in Appomattox or Rustburg where he's not seeing the games. Does that help being a mentor to where they don't see Brantley Shields day to day?
It does. But then he's also a great role model and did a lot of things just through modeling. And you learn from those kind of things. And he had been coaching, at the time, probably close to 30 years. So, and he had a lot of success doing it. So,
what's the biggest thing you learned from him?
Just to be steady, be the same guy every single day. And, you're not gonna, seize the day on day one, or, it's a process. Everything's a process.
Is it more important to be steady? How much more important is it to be steady in life as opposed to coaching?
I think it's all the same. I think, just showing up every day, being consistent, being the same person every single day. And, I think that is something you learn in sports. And I think it's very relevant in life in general.
You talked about learning, and I see the plaque on the wall that says Avert. What'd you learn?
Oh, at Avert.
That'd be something. If not, that plaque's worthless.
Yeah.
I'll take it home with me.
I had some great coaches down there. Coach Chandler was fantastic. I'll never forget. He taught me about time management. One of the first practices we had there, I showed up. It was a couple of seconds late in the locker room, and we went through our 2-a-day practice. And then at the end of practice, he said, "All right, everybody on the line." He ran the whole team because I was a couple of seconds late. So just little life lessons like that, that you learn along the way.
How important is it to convince to tell your athletes that are going to play, let's say at a D3 level, hey, these are the expectations. They're
close to my expectations, but here's a nuanced difference that you had. Do you feel like that's part of your role as a head coach to tell people, hey, we're D3's different?
Well, I mean, I think it's just you just compete.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I think at any level, you know, you're going there to compete, and because you love the game.
Right.
In this day and age, you got to love it to do it.
And they can go full year round. You're not being able to do that quite yet in high school
Mm-hmm.
when they're doing it. Did you have a welcome to college basketball moment by just the, hey, going year round, or the running, or was there lifting involved that was different from what you did in high school?
I think just the overall pace of everything that you do. Um, at the college level, back then, I mean, you were starting as soon as you got to school with preseason workouts in September, maybe even late August, and then the season starts at the beginning of October and it goes until March. And so it was a long season. Um, highly competitive. Played with some great guys down there. Played with an All-American, Demarcus Morrison, my first 2 years. Um, so it's a great experience. Wouldn't trade it for anything.
When you see somebody play that's better than you at that point, did your jaw drop? I mean, how is he able to do this type thing? Did you have any moment like that in your head?
No, it was more of, hey, I want to go out and compete against him, and he's going to help me get better.
Right.
And to get to practice against guys like that, Demarcus and David Apple, who was also a really good player back then. To get to go in and practice against those guys every day was great.
Who was maybe one of the better players you played against, not on your team?
Oh man, you're making me.
I know.
Go back 30 years.
Challenging older people to think can be tough sometimes.
We had some. Christopher Newport always had some really good players. Now I can't think of their names now. One guy, Sinclair, I remember his last name. He was a fantastic player, and I remember competing against him. And we actually beat them my junior year at home. And I remember just after that game.
Did you ever go to camps where there was anybody?
Oh man, camps!
I'm trying to help you, believe it or not. I didn't mean to interrupt your story about seeing you about the one game, by the way.
Like playing in college or post?
Well, I mean, I know you're older than like a JJ Redick, obviously, but I mean, I'm thinking along those lines of somebody that went to the next level.
Yeah, back in the day, when I used to work camps down at Wake Forest, we'd have, you play with all those Wake Forest guys. We'd have Chris Paul out there, and I remember when Chris Paul was coming in as a freshman to Wake, and playing against that guy.
Could you tell?
Yeah, he was a pretty good player. So all those guys down there at Wake back in the day, we used to play, at night.
Now this is a Chris Paul day, not the Tim Duncan day.
No, I wasn't in a Tim Duncan. I'm not that old,
right?
Bob.
I know. I'm trying to help the listeners. There's 2 days at Wake. There's one of my favorite ACC players, by the way, Randolph Childress. Yeah. That's a different day.
That's a different era.
Then there's a Chris Paul, Al-Farouq Aminu, if I'm not mistaken. Johnson, I forget, there was somebody named Johnson, I thought.
Yeah.
On that Wake. That's the other Wake day.
Yeah.
That's a Skip Prosser.
That's the Skip
Wake
Prosser days.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Skip days. We would play after camp. And when I was in college, we used to do that all the time. I'd work camps at NC State or Wake Forest or Virginia Tech or wherever it was, and you play at night against all those guys. So, just getting out there competing against those guys, and they were at a different level too. So
Chris Paul kicked around for a while, so he obviously made it work.
He did okay.
Yeah, he did. And okay again, if you're listening out there, Brantley Shields is of the Chris Paul day, not of the Ralph Sampson, Tim Duncan day. He's not that old in his words. Do you remember your first technical?
Coaching?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it.
No names necessarily, but go ahead and tell me the story.
I won't give any names, but we were playing Alta Vista at home. I was trying to build a program, and Coach Carlero was down there on the other end of the bench, and it was late in the game. I think we were down 9 or 10. They had a really good team. They may have gone on to the state championship game that year. had a kid by the name of Booth on that team.
Yep, Jeremy Booth.
You might remember that guy.
I do.
Pretty good player. And so, I got a technical, and that was my first technical with my high school career.
Do you feel like more of your technicals were passion technicals in terms of like, I'm just trying to help my team, but maybe I went a little overboard in helping my team?
Yeah, early in my career, it was more of just trying to get those guys to realize, hey, this is important. We're just not out here, playing at the Y.
This is not rec basketball.
This is not rec basketball. We need to take this serious. So early on, it was a lot of that. And then sometimes, you highly disagree with the call.
So when Appomattox your first job?
First job,
So talk to me about the phone call you get to, hey, I'm the head coach. I guess Bob Hudson.
Yep, Bob Hudson and Mike Wills were the AD at the time. And I was coaching down at Averett and was looking for a job. And my wife was from the area. And so it just kind of all worked out. I was kind of dabbling in whether I was going to try to stay in the college realm or come back to the high school realm, and ended up landing in Appomattox.
How much works the college realm in terms of, I don't want to say you're a grunt, but in the college realm, you really got to cut your teeth. High school realm, you can be home every night. Mm-hmm. College realm, you got to recruit. Even at a D3 level, you're still going out recruiting like a D1 coach probably would.
Yeah, and it's a lot more nights on the road, a lot more time on the phone, talking to recruits and their AAU coaches and all the different things. So from a time standpoint, high school is much less.
What was your furthest recruiting trip that you remember?
Oh, wow.
Because Averett probably ain't flying you in the private plane.
No, we drove. We stayed for the most part pretty local. North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, a lot of Virginia.
And you can go to North Carolina. You can go across the border and get home the same night. I mean, it's not like you're, it's a 3-day excursion.
Yeah.
Go to Greensboro or anything.
We did a lot of Greensboro, Raleigh, that area.
So you're recruiting the kids basically that ODAC schools are going to recruit at Averett when Averett's USA South at that point, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Everybody's recruiting the same guys, so to speak. And like I said, we're not going off to Montana.
No. we it was pretty much day trips.
Right.
Where you're driving somewhere. Our recruiting budget was minimal, so I paid a lot of stuff out of my pocket.
Right. Stopping at the gas station, getting the drinking.
Twinkies.
And on Averett's bill.
Uh-huh.
Talk about how much work is there to apply for a head coaching job when you're applying for that first one? I mean, is it pretty simple, like an application like anywhere else, or are there a lot of stuff you have to do?
It's just a normal application like what, any other teacher would do. Or you talking about high school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a normal teacher application.
I'm assuming college, it's kind of like you got to know somebody that's going to bring you in type of thing.
Yeah. It's a lot of who you know and the right fit and all of those things.
How'd you get the Averett gig as assistant?
That was Coach Chandler was the head coach there, and I had played there for all 4 years. And then we had an assistant leaving at the time, and we had an opening, and I asked, it just kind of all worked out.
You just wouldn't go away, so
wouldn't go away.
I'm going to stay here no matter what. Now, when you leave Appo, you come to Rustburg. Pretty easy because you don't have to move. I mean, you can still live where you live. When did you decide you wanted to leave, and what made you decide that you wanted to be, at a school still close to home?
I was just looking for a change, looking for something different. And I knew that actually Coach Hildebrand, who was the head coach here at the time, I knew him pretty well. And he kind of called me up and said, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm going into administration. Is this something you'd be interested in?" And then it just kind of all worked out from there.
Does coaching help administration?
It does. I think it does.
How's it helped you?
It's helped me in that just dealing with people and dealing with parents. Realizing things are going to ebb and flow, and the organization, and just realizing you got to be the same person. Kind of like I said, you got to be the same person every day. Be consistent.
you brought up the P word, parents. At a coaching level, I'm assuming more so you're dealing with, like, why did my kid get to play this much? When you're at an administration level, is it more of, hey, Johnny is being treated unfairly by Tommy in class? I mean, what's the biggest difference in terms of the way parents react as a coaching and as an administrator?
It's a lot the same. Parents just want the best for their kid.
Sure.
We all, I'm a parent. I want what's best for my kid or my kids. And so it's, I think it's just, parents want what's best for their kids. And so, you try to help them and you try to walk alongside of them and do what's best for their kid.
More nerve-wracking watching your kids play at the high school level or coaching at the high school level?
Oh, watching your kids, hands down. My oldest daughter played volleyball. Both my daughters play volleyball. And there were games where, especially this past year when they were in the regional or state tournament, I almost had to turn away. It's tough.
Does your wife react better than you, or is she worse?
She's actually worse. And if she listens to this, she's probably going to deny it, but she's actually probably a little bit worse.
Just don't tell her where I live or give her my phone number, by the way. Why would you say that?
Just because, I tend to have a little bit more perspective on the way things are going. And she tends to be a little bit more emotionally attached.
Okay, stopping that conversation at this point.
Every time I go to Rustburg, it's always fun to catch up with the head man, Brantley Shields. He'll be joining us more and more on the Sports Buffet podcast. This has been Bob Alvis.